All right, good Thursday evening in Michigan. Chief Meteorologist Chris Easlick with our nightly weather chat. Taking a look outside tonight, kind of a continuation of what we have seen today. And apologize for the echo. Trying to get that live stream on my phone. Always forget one thing on this desk. I feel like I always forget one step, but we're in business. The sound at least works, so that's good. But this is pretty much a theme of the day. If you look outside right now, we've got cloudy skies, we've got drizzle, we've got fog. Certainly not as nice as a lot of days that we've had recently, and our visibility hovering anywhere between about 1 and 4 miles tonight. It looks like Mount Pleasant doing a little bit better at about 5, but still not where we want to be. I do think as we go through tonight, we will clear a lot of this out. There will be a cold front that moves across the region, may bring a little bit more drizzle, maybe a few light showers tomorrow morning before this moves out of the area completely. But I think once it does, we should dry out pretty drastically. And then after that, things look pretty solid as we head towards the weekend. So here's a look at the weekend. Speaking of that, this is one of the reasons that I wanted to do the live stream for tonight, is talk about how nice of a weekend we expect, at least by late November standards. So it appears that both days will have plenty of sun. I think Saturday starts with some sun, maybe clouds up a little bit in the afternoon, similar to maybe what some of the days that we've had recently, where you get some of those high clouds that start drifting on through, gradually trends mostly cloudy towards the end of our daylight hours, and then we cloud up into Saturday night. But we should be pretty dry during the day. There's one little system, and I'll show you that coming up, that may be very close to the TV5 viewing area. On Saturday night, we've added a small chance for a few showers there, but that would be more late evening. I think at least through about 8 o'clock, everything looks fairly dry. And then we get rid of that pretty quickly. We're right back to the clearing skies on Sunday, and we actually get a chance to touch 50 degrees in certain areas by the time we get to Sunday as well. So before we get to the weekend, I do want to talk about the holidays in the heart of the city in Saginaw. If you plan on going to that into the end of the work week here, looks like a pretty nice night for that. A little cloudy perhaps at times going into Friday evening. May have just some brief cloud cover passing through, but I think we'll still have plenty of sun tomorrow as well. So probably a mixed sky going towards the end of our daylight hours tomorrow. But the tree lighting looks great. We've got dry weather for that. I would say if you're headed out there, plan more so on temperatures that are roughly about the mid-40s, dropping to the 30s by the end of the night. But I would say probably plan maybe closer to the upper 30s for the entire time, just because I think while the wind isn't necessarily strong tomorrow, I think you might have some wind chills that are probably closer to that upper 30s range rather than the low 40s there, and it will cool off pretty quickly as we go towards tomorrow night. And then, of course, if you're not going to holidays in the heart of the city, well, we do have the Christmas parade on Saturday in downtown Saginaw, and if you're planning on going to that, expect some temperatures right around the mid-30s, roughly about the low 40s by the time that parade is coming to an end. But it looks like we've got plenty of sun through that entire parade, too. Myself and Elise Ramey will be emceeing that parade, so if you're out there, we will be around, so feel free to say hi. We're looking forward to being there. We did it last year, and it was a lot of fun, and this year looks to be a nice year with some sun. Last year it was okay, but it was pretty cloudy. And Elise is on our chat, my favorite 10 p.m. anchor. We are going to have a good time. We did last year. Looking forward to that, and should be pretty nice as far as that's concerned. If you are not going to the Saginaw Parade, but for instance are going to the Midland Santa Parade, that is expected to be roughly around the same temperature, some low 30s to start, mid-30s by the time we get to 10 o'clock, and then upper 30s towards the end of that. If you plan on sticking around town after the parade, I think we'll be back in the low 40s pretty quickly towards lunchtime, but a pretty nice weekend overall. So anything you've got going on, I think we're going to be in pretty good shape for that. And we'll go back to just the weekend forecast really quick. I probably snuck this in there, and maybe it's too soon because we haven't had Thanksgiving yet, but hang the lights this weekend. Could be a good weekend to get that done. The wind is not necessarily strong this weekend. We've got winds of light and variable variety on Saturday, and then west-northwesterly about 5 to 15 going into Sunday. So let's talk about that Saturday system really quick. Then we'll take a quick look at next week. And then if anybody has any questions, I can try to answer that. And then we'll end the live stream because, of course, we still have our 10 o'clock newscast coming up within the hour. But tomorrow we should clear out pretty quickly. This model is not showing a ton of showers. You've got a few popping up here tomorrow morning, and then a few more in our southeasterly sections as you get closer to about 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. But then after that, everything starts to clear out. Everything looks like it's in pretty good shape for the rest of your Friday. This model, I will tell you, is probably one of our most optimistic when it comes to the degree of clearing tomorrow. This is trending mostly sunny. A couple of them are a bit more on the partly cloudy side of things. Either way, I don't think it's really going to make a big difference tomorrow. Skies will be brighter than they were today. Today was just one of those, I like to call them London days, where it's just kind of dreary and gloomy. And for whatever reason, it just reminds me of London, Seattle, if you don't want to use London for an example. But it's just one of those days, and I think we get a lot better tomorrow. I think our temperatures should have an opportunity to be around the middle to upper 40s tomorrow, a few low 50s mixing in there. And have gotten a couple of questions as we've periodically gone through the last couple of hours. Because it's so drizzly tonight, and we've had some road issues this week, are we going to have road issues tonight? We're not falling below freezing tonight. In fact, I think some of us will stay in the 40s and actually might warm up a little bit towards the morning commute tomorrow, so not necessarily concerned about that. Your Friday evening, we touched on it before for Saginaw for holidays in the heart of the city, but area-wide, pretty much tomorrow night, we've got nothing to worry about. Your Saturday forecast, here's all the sun that we're expecting through the first half of the day. These are the clouds that I was talking about moving in towards the end of our daylight hours. And then if we jump forward here and go to about 9 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock, you'll see we've got a few showers that are offshore of Lake Huron. It's moving more of this northwest to southeasterly direction. It's coming from the UP, and it's more aimed towards Ontario. But just the fact that it's close by, it could clip mainly some of our northeastern areas, places like Aranac and Iosco County, even into Alcona County, could be a few showers there. I think the thumb is in play for that, but it's just a small chance. We're not expecting any precipitation to be terribly widespread with that. So I think we'll get through that pretty easily as well, and then it's pretty much just right back to the sun by the time we get to Sunday. So Sunday, we've got no issues. Next week, still expecting some colder air to move out of Canada and move over the Great Lakes region. It seems like that process gets underway on Wednesday. If you can notice some of these cooler colors here, dragging the map around. My apologies for that. If you notice these cooler colors here, starting to spill into the Great Lakes region. It starts on Wednesday. That's when we start to get those purple shades overhead. But what I think you're going to notice is I think you're going to notice it more on Thursday. I think Wednesday itself is probably going to be a day that's closer to the 40s. I think Thursday is the day that we start to drop into the 30s. And of course, after that, we've got that cool air coming over the Great Lakes region. Well, lakes are open for business right now, so we'll likely see some lake effect. If you are traveling Tuesday, if anyone is heading out of town on Tuesday, thinking we're primarily just looking at rain on Tuesday, don't think we'll be cooling down quite as much just yet. That rain is likely around, I think, for the morning and early afternoon. We might get a bit of a break towards the evening hours. Don't take that timeline to the bank just yet. These things tend to fluctuate this far out in time, but I would say Tuesday it's looking pretty likely we get some showers. Wednesday, models have kind of gone back and forth on the degree of showers as far as the coverage is concerned. Some of them are a little bit more soaked, others much more scattered and barely anything at all. But we're at least going to have a possibility of some showers in our forecast for Wednesday. I think after we get that initial wave during the morning, there is a chance we dry out at least for a time. You can see the gap that develops between the rain and some of that mixed precipitation. But once the mix starts, you kind of see the transition over to some of that colder air going into Wednesday night and also eventually into Thursday, where it seems like we have a chance to kick up some lake effect snow going into Thanksgiving. Now, this looks really bad. This looks like we've got snow everywhere. And sorry, I keep reaching for the pointer and it just keeps grabbing the map. But this looks like we've got snow across the entire state. That is not going to be the case if this is what's happening with the lake effect. these models, just when you go several days out in time, they don't have the resolution. They don't have that really sharp image that we're used to seeing with the hour-by-hour forecast that gets us through the next couple of days. And so what they give us in computing power to go farther out in time, they sacrifice the high resolution of the image. It's almost like a standard definition TV versus a high definition TV. It still gives us the idea that we're going to snow, but this looks like it's going to be everywhere when it's probably more of a broken type snow shower event. So I think we have to at least plan for the possibility of some lake effects going into next Thursday. Is it going to be, you know, a massive lake effect event? It's too early to say. We've got to get the exact degree of cold air that's coming in. It looks pretty cold right now. It looks like we'll have highs in the 30s on Thanksgiving, but what is the wind direction? How strong is that wind? Is that wind going to blow it farther inland? Is it going to keep it closer to shore? Those are questions we don't really know right now. And if you were on our stream last night, I compared the European model, which is the one we're looking at right now that has this lake effect, but was also comparing it to the American model, which wasn't necessarily excited about the lake effect possibilities. And I said last night I favored the European model's outlook on it just because of the lakes being open. There's not really any ice coverage at this time of year yet, and the cold air looks sufficient enough to me based on the temperature of the water. But the European has stayed true to that today. It has kept that lake effect possibility in there. But now the American model and the Canadian model are now starting to join in, and they've got some chances for some lake effect in there as well. So feeling like that is still the way to go. But again, we're still a week away from Thanksgiving here. So I want you to take the general trends, the little bits and pieces here of the forecast, but also just know we're still in wait and see mode. We are still in the time frame where we're watching trends, but not necessarily calling for anything significant here, at least not yet. So your 7-day, we'll wrap up with this. It'll be 9:20 here soon, and not seeing a ton of questions tonight. A lot of you have been popping in, so appreciate that. But feel free to ask something even after the stream is over. But here's the 7-day. We've got some 50s by the end of the weekend. We're near 50 on Monday. I think some of us will get there. Some of us may come up just short. Then we've got rain on Tuesday, just rain. There's no possibility of snow, at least locally, here in the TV5 viewing area on Tuesday, unless there's something that significantly changes between now and then. And then we'll likely start with some scattered showers that are of the rain variety Wednesday morning. And then if anything is happening Wednesday night, it will likely transition over to snow. And I think snow is the primary form of precipitation on Thanksgiving. We've added the mix icon there just to be comprehensive, you know, just to not rule out every single possibility on Thursday just yet. But I think Thursday, if the cold air follows through, I think that's going to be primarily snow. The only exception could be areas that are right along the shoreline. Sometimes this time of year, if you're right along the water, you can still get some mix in there, or you can still just get some outright rain, depending on how that event unfolds. So I'll give everybody a minute if you want to comment, or if you have a question. We'll give you just a second to do that. And if not, I will wish you a good Thursday night, and we'll be back here tomorrow. So it says we've got Maureen on tonight, Sharon, Mary, Heidi, Jordan, Norman, Terry, Jane, Sue, David, Robert Whites. Good to see all of you. Melanie just hopped on. Yep, not really seeing a ton of comments tonight. Bruce is in the chat now. All right, I will take a look at the chat in the next few minutes. If you have anything other than that, again, just enjoy the rest of the work week. If you're working tomorrow or working this weekend, next week, have a wonderful Thanksgiving if we don't see you on any of our streams before then. And as always, the forecast is available at any time on WNEM.com. Usually we have a more detailed blog too. We only get a couple of minutes on the air, so if you ever feel like you're missing some information, you can always go to our website. We've got a detailed weather blog every single day and every single shift that might give you some of the information that you are looking for. Other than that, I will see you all next time, and until then, have a good night.